Today's video is sponsored by Chen's Noodle House. They just brought back the puffy pot stickers. Through LEGO Ninjago's countless pieces of media, the series has racked up more history in its own universe than the Bible has in real life. From the show to the continuation show to the shorts, mini-movies, comic books, even random novellas or stories just written by the creators on LEGO's website or even Twitter, there's a lot. Its timeline without exaggeration rivals that of Five Nights at Freddy's. With a series that's been going on for this long and has this much to it, there tends to be very strange and interesting bits of information behind the corners of what you see on screen. Today, I'm diving in deep. If you haven't watched Ninjago in years and you're just kind of checking in with this video, don't worry, I'm going to explain things you might not understand. This is the strangest and most obscure LEGO Ninjago lore. Go subscribe or else you'll get banished to the cursed realm, and leave a like. I know you just started watching, but I think I'm pretty cool, so you should go do it. Starting off with a very morbid fact, Ultra Dragon, the four-headed dragon from seasons 1 and 2, was killed by the dragon hunters before season 9. This has been confirmed by the writers, so Wu had these dragons, presumably from the first realm, guard the golden weapons, the ninja befriend and adopt them, they do a Dragon Ball Z fusion dance, emphasis on dragon, into one four-headed beast, they kick ass for a bit, become one of the most sought-after LEGO sets, return to the first realm in a miniature Ninjago short right up before the events of season 8, and then they're killed off by the dragon hunters. In Hunted, when you see Iron Baron for the first time, his throne is made of Ultra Dragon's corpse. That right there is its skeleton. It's very tragic. I kinda wish they did more with Ultra throughout the series, but this was a good way to write off its character, and it adds to the brutality of the dragon hunters. Heck, maybe we'll see its spirit, or their spirits, return in Dragon's Rising. The next thing is the Mythica. Doc Wyatt, Ninjago's current head writer, was asked how the people in the Neverrealm knew of Wojira's existence since they're in separate dimensions. He replied, quote, "When Time's name was new, a tribe of nomadic storyteller dragons called the Mythica traveled from realm to realm, sharing epic story songs until they were hunted to extinction by the Oni, who wanted to silence their stories, but some of their tales were handed down by word of mouth as myths." A very random lore-dropping answer from out of nowhere. Hey, how did X know about Y even though they're in Realm Z? His response. So there was this ancient race of dragons, right? That's so awesome. I don't know. That's one of those things where a writer has an entire universe in their head, but they can't get it all out, so these things just exist in their mind. I love it. It also adds to the Oni's brutality since season 10 kinda wasted them. I made a short about this next fact already, but the ninja actually died in Skybound. I mean, some of them have died a few times, whatever. Tommy Andreessen, one of Ninjago's creators, confirmed that when the ninja were turned into gold statues in Skybound, they actually did die. In fact, it was only Jay's wish of turning back time that saved them. That was the only wish that Nauticon actually did grant from Jay, by the way, interestingly enough. Jay learning that he was adopted, that was just a canonical fact, and presumably only Jay knows about this because when time was turned back, the letter he received saying that he had all of Cliff Gordon's assets was never delivered. That damn mailman. My next fact is that Quanish the Elder had the same dream that Lloyd had in March of the Oni with the first Spinjitzu Master, twice. If you don't know, Quanish was the old man that Jay and Cole come across in the library of Domu of season 8 episode 1, the great value brand Sensei Wu. But his death was revealed in chapter 11 of Splinter and the Blind Man's Eye, which is a novella written by Tommy Andreessen and Lachlan Jansen, posted to Twitter of all places. It's actually a really good novella. That chapter, by the way, is probably my favorite. I'm actually currently doing a reading on Splinter and the Blind Man's Eye on my channel. I post each narrated chapter on Wednesdays and Fridays. It's still ongoing right now, so go check it out. But yeah, Quanish had that dream and he refused the offer the first time, but accepted it the second time and was taken into heaven for all intents and purposes. Speaking of places that you go when you die, which there are a lot of in Ninjago, let's talk about skeletons in the underworld. I was recently rereading The Official Guide, which is a book from the pilot era, and there's a lot of interesting facts about the Skulkin army. Skeletons are disgraced warriors who died in battle. According to comic book Mask of the Sensei, they're put in the underworld to stop other entities from crossing into Ninjago. The underworld is supposed to serve as like a barrier gateway. In fact, the skeletons took no interest in attacking Ninjago until Garmadon took over and made them. In that comic, there's a dark shape-shifting blob that makes its way to Ninjago after Samakai dies and Garmadon leaves. Theoretically, that blob could have been an Oni, but that's a whole other discussion for a different day. Also, these skeletons are said to possess some smaller amounts of elemental powers, though this is likely retconned. They can even do Spinjitzu, as seen in the Challenge of Samakai comic and one of the earlier shorts. Speaking of powers that were retconned and no longer used, have you ever wondered why the ninja stopped using air jutsu throughout the franchise? Well, luckily, I've read your mind, and I have an interesting answer on the lore. In Way of the Departed, another one of these novellas written by Tommy Andreessen, posted to Twitter, we learn a lot about Edo magic. Basically, Edo magic was a style of dark arts that drew from the earth itself. It was primarily used during the Edo period, where in southern Ninjago, people were making entire buildings that were in tune with nature to try and better access Edo powers. However, it was too unstable, chaotic, and dark. It kind of sounds like paganism if you think about it. It's the reason why Sensei Yang and his students all became ghosts that haunt the last Edo era building that exists. Ever thought about where Klaus's dark arts came from? It's Edo magic, and Airjitsu is in the same ballpark, which is why the ninja stopped using it. The Serpentine are pretty interesting, and I think it'd be a fun idea to tackle their physiology one day in a video essay. Regardless, there exists Serpentine hybrids due to, well, tribal mixing. Clancy is a Venomari and Hypnobrai, yet he doesn't have either of their powers. Frack is also said to be a hybrid, but I can't find any official fact on what exactly he is. I assume Constricti and Venomari? He also doesn't possess any of the natural Serpentine abilities, just the elements of Quake, and the Serpentine's natural abilities are more so biological aspects, whereas elemental powers are obviously different. And Clancy has no powers at all. This is probably why the Serpentine don't often mix. It muddies their natural abilities from the tribes. I don't want my daughter bringing home no damn Venomari. So bad. Unlike biological abilities or elements, did you know that Amber, Skylar's power of elemental absorption, was created? An unnamed blacksmith from Metalonia, the place mentioned in Season 13's anime flashbacks, which by the way is also where Karloff comes from, was envious of the elemental master's powers, so he went to this one crooked tree in the village that carried the substance of Amber and used it to make chronosteel, you know, the metal that made the two time blades capable of taking elemental powers. This blacksmith is Skylar's grandfather, and he got trapped in this urn he created out of chronosteel when trying to take Wu and Garmadon's powers. This comes from a canon novella on LEGO's website. And speaking of Wu and Garmadon, they've both been alive for thousands of years, just like our politicians in Congress. It makes little sense because there's a comic panel in the first Garmadon comic depicting a younger pre-banished Garmadon holding baby Lloyd, yet a 2011 LEGO Club magazine issue stated that Garmadon had been banished for thousands of years. I think the latter tidbit is retcon, but there's a few strange lore-heavy explanations the creators of Ninjago have given. The main one is that Wu and Garmadon being away from each other and both being away from the golden weapons affects their mortality. Really weird, but yeah. Another reason is because they drink tea? I don't know if they were drinking the same tea that aged up Lloyd or something, but damn. There are many fun facts about each of the main characters. Most of them are pretty goofy. After their parents were kidnapped and enslaved by the Time Twins, Kai and Nia were raised by a babysitter named Mrs. Grubmiller, and she's mentioned very, very vaguely throughout the show, but she's said to be mean, have terrible cooking skills, and a big mole on her body. Kai and Nia used to trip her a lot when she would walk by, and the thing that Kai and Nia argued over most in their childhood was who got to trip Mrs. Grubmiller most. Poor woman having to deal with them. Cole has conquered the most fears out of all the characters. Dragons, snakes, ghosts. Now the only thing he's afraid of is spiders and snails. Jay has the most hobbies, building birdhouses for elderly people, inventing things, writing haikus and generally poetry, playing video games like Dancy Pants, building model trains, and drawing himself as a conductor while wearing fake beards.
I do a little inventing, I dabble in model building, touch of cooking, a little poetry. More like mouth of lightning.
He's also seen playing the Wii in some concept art. Zane was already said to be 40 years old before the events of the show. Obviously, since he's a robot, his aging is different. But in Season 11, when he gets blasted into the Never Realm, he also gets sent back 60 years prior in that realm. And when the ninja go there, find him, and leave, they're all in the present, while Zane had spent 60 years in that realm. This technically makes Zane 100 years old. That's crazy. Lloyd was only in Oni form for a few seconds because, as Tommy Andreasen put it, Lloyd would have destroyed the Overlord and then been lost to the Oni side forever if he didn't turn back then. In fact, they were originally considering making Lloyd go into his Oni form but then turning evil so that the ninja had to fight him out of it, but that idea was scrapped. And the final fact is about the Oni masks. Tommy Andreasen stated in a few places that the masks were made by the original Oni warlords who came to Ninjago seeking out the first Spinjitzu master, and Mistake was one of them. If you're way behind on Ninjago lore, Mistake was the tea shop lady known for saying "Never heard of it" in earlier seasons. The Oni, these demons of destruction, invaded Ninjago looking for the first Spinjitzu master, and Mistake was one of them, but she turned against her own kind because she liked the world that the first Spinjitzu master had created. Mistake literally killed the other two warlords back then, and their masks were just left behind. Though these facts imply that one of the Oni masks is made from her, which is really weird because we never actually saw her Oni face resemble any of the Oni masks. I mean, the other characters who've turned into Onis, their face looks like masks. Hers doesn't resemble any of the masks there, so I don't know what the deal with that is. Though the masks themselves have since been destroyed. Only the Mask of Vengeance actually remains, and I like to think that that's the mask made from Mistake so that even though she died, that piece of her is left in the world. So yeah, those are interesting, deep lore facts. Hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe I should make like a 5-hour, all lore, entire timeline video for Ninjago. That idea has been floating around my head for some time now. I think that'd be super fun. I might make a part part 2 to this. Feel free to comment any lore that you find interesting that I forgot to cover here, or maybe I'll cover more meta behind the scenes stuff, like how Echo Zane was supposed to be Mr. E, and they actually still have audio from the recordings of that scene of the reveal. Subscribe to maybe see that. Alright, laters.